but I want to share Dvar Torah with the Chevra. If everybody could please focus hard. Taisvis in Menachos brings two machloksim that I want everybody to be aware of. Machlokes number one is he brings the sheet of the Bahag. We have a mitzvah, as spoken in Parshas Emor. We have a mitzvah d'oraisa svartam lachem, count for yourselves. Mimachras haShabbos, from the day after Shabbos, which interestingly means Pesach. Miyoyim abiyachem es omer atnufa, on the day you bring the carbon omer. Sheva Shabbosais, count 7 weeks, 49 days. Tamimais tiyena, they shall be whole. A mitzvah d'oraisa of Sefira ha'omer. Comes Taisvis and he brings the sheet of the Bahag that if somebody didn't count at night that day, he should count it with the bracha by Yom. You have an entire 24-hour period to count that day. The Bahag says if one did not count by night, one absolutely should count by day with the bracha. That's the sheet of the Bahag. Tyson Daf Samach Vav brings the sheet of Rabbeinu Tam, who argues on the Bahag. Rabbeinu Tam says, not like the Bahag. Rabbeinu Tam says one can only count at night. One may not count by day. If you didn't count by night, you don't count by day. Not with a bracha, not without a bracha, you don't count by day. The count is by night. So we have Rabbeinu Tam, who says you only count by night, not by day. We have the Bahag, who says you count by day. Machlokes the Bahag and Rabbeinu Tam. If you can count with the bracha by day, this mitzvah of Sefira ha'omer. We have a second machlokes at the end of Taisvis, the very same Taisvis. He brings a Bahag who says if you lose one day, shuv einay sefer, a person doesn't count anymore. The sheet of the Bahag, as we will see, we do not paskin like this Bahag, we will see. But the Bahag says that if somebody misses a day, then I can't even say those words. The Bahag says. The Bahag says, Shuv einay sefer. If you miss by night, one can no longer count. You can say the words I want. Okay. So if somebody misses an entire 24 hours, the Bahag says the person can't count anymore. Says Taisvis v'teima g'doilahu. Whenever you have a yid is out, is a tema, is a pella, is an unreconcilable wonder, because it can't be. The Rabbeinu Tam says, Taisvis says, tema hu b'doilahu v'lo yitachin. It's impossible. So Rabbeinu Tam, Taisvis couldn't say it either. He says, tema g'doilahu. It's a wonder to say a yid is ever out. Lo yitachin, it's impossible. So that's that. So we have in Taisvis two machloksim. We have Bahag Rabbeinu Tam and Bahag against, he doesn't say a name, Avi. It's Taisvis Stam. So everybody please get these two machloksim. One machlokes, if you miss counting at night, the Bahag says you should count by day. What a bracha! One. On that, Rabbeinu Tam argues, if you miss by night, you do not count by day. Machlokes 1. Machlokes 2, the Bahag says if you miss a day, you are out. You said it, I didn't. And then Taisvis says, Lo yitachin teima g'doila, you're certainly not out. Two machlokes. Now, la halacha, what do we do with these two machlokes? So if we miss by night, we count by day, but since Rabbeinu Tam said not to count by day, we do it without a bracha. We're machmir, like the Bahag said, to absolutely count by day, so we do it without a bracha. If we miss an entire day, we absolutely paskin like Taisvis, you're absolutely in and mechoyev. We don't make a bracha because the Bahag said you're out. In deference to the Bahag, we don't make a bracha, so we absolutely count the rest, and we're in, and we're mechoyev to count the rest. We do it without a bracha because the Bahag said you're out. Now, how about if a person, Rabbi say, Aiki, what does a person do? A person who counted by day, he missed that night and he counted by day, should he continue counting the rest with the bracha? He missed by night, but he counted by day. Should he keep counting with the bracha? Do we say, guys say, of course, maybe he shouldn't. Because there's a sad that if you miss a day, you're out, the bahag. And this guy missed the night, and there's one sheet that you got to count that night. So if a guy missed that night and counted by day, why does he continue with the bracha? The guys are accurate, la halacha, he counts with a bracha. I want to tell you, Avi, where Zoich and Meir Kalevsky learns in yeshiva and impacts the yeshiva. Meir Kalevsky Zayda said something brilliant, and I want the guys to get what Meir Kalevsky Zayda said. Most of the world assumes, the assumption, the reason why we keep counting with a bracha, one suffix brachas is l'kula. If we have a suffix brachas, we do not make the bracha. We don't say Hashem's name is suffix brachas l'kula. However, most assume it's called the svek sveka. First of all, we have the sheet of the bahag, you're allowed to count by day. So first of all, maybe I counted by day, I would count it fine, because I counted by day. If I missed the night and counted by day. So first of all, you're allowed to count by day. Aleph. And even if you say you're not allowed to count the day, we have the sheet of Taisvis that if you miss a day, you're still in. So it's a svek sveka, and that lets me make a bracha. That's how most of the world understands it. It's a Trumas Hadeshen. A svek sveka allows me to keep counting. Because first of all, I counted by day, and we have the bahag, you're allowed to count by day. Even if the bahag's wrong, and you're not allowed to count by day, we have the sheet of Taisis that if you miss a day, you still count. By bazai, svek svek, I can count with a bracha. Yehuda Zelman, that's what most of the world thinks. Comes Rev Kalevsky, and he says that is not the svara. There's a much better reason why you're allowed to count with a bracha. Listen to what he said. Nothing wrong with that. It's a good svara. This will just be, it's not nisafing.
Oh, that's what's the suffix. You didn't do it with the bracha.
That, but I'm yaitz even without a bracha. A bracha is a wonderful thing, but I'm yaitz. Even if you're old, you need a bracha, you're yaitz. You're still yaitz without a bracha. Even if you're old, you need one, and you forget the bracha, you're yaitz. Even there's a Tzvi Pesach Frank who declares that, the Pashta says you're yaitz. Now, comes Rev Kalevsky, everybody listen to this, and he says, tremendous. Rev Kalevsky says, what's the reason, the Manda Amar, that you're not allowed to count by day? We don't make a bracha by day. Why can't you count by day? Said Rev Kalevsky, it's in one Taisvis, has two machloksim. He brings two bahags. He brings a bahag that if you miss by night, you can count by day. And Rabbeinu Tam argues, says you miss by night, you're out. Can't count by day. He has a second side of bahag that if you miss one day, you're out. And he says that's impossible. Don't you dare say that. Lo yitachin tema gedayla. He says not to say. So he has two machloksim. Comes Rev Kalevsky and he says these two machloksim are linked. They're not unconnected. He says as follows. The pasuk says count. It says Sheva Shabbosais Timimos Tiyana. It says Usvartam Lachem, start counting 7 whole weeks. Sheva Shabbosais, 7 weeks. Sheva Shabbosais Timimos Tiyana, they shall be whole. Says Rev Kalevsky, there are two ways of understanding whole. What does it mean? Timimos, they should be whole. Rabbeinu Tam learned whole, it means count whole days. Count whole days means count by night. If you counted by day, you already missed too much of the day. It's not called Tamimos. A whole day is a night and a day. Count a night and a day, whole days. At the point the day came, you missed the night, it's no longer whole. That's why you can't count by day, because Tamimos Tiyana means I want you to count whole days. A whole day means a night and a day. So if you miss by night, you no longer have a whole segment. You can't call it a whole day. You have no night of it. You only have a day. That is the reason Rabbeinu Tam says you can't count by day. The Bahag says if you miss a day, you can't count anymore, because he learns Tamimos Tiyana A whole day, whole days means don't miss any of the 7 weeks. If you miss the day, you're out. Tamimais Tiyena. He learns the Tamimais Tiyena is I want Sheva Shavuos, 7 weeks. Tamimais Tiyena, 7 full weeks. It has to be, you count the entire 7 weeks. So comes out, says we have Kalevsky, if a guy misses by night and counts by day, it's impossible to not let him count with a bracha. Because if Tamimais means if you miss a day, you're out, so then you're allowed to count by day. Because you don't have the drasha to say you can't count by day. If Tamimais means that you have to count by night, not by day, then there is no drasha to say if you miss a day, you're out. So Mimanav Shach, it can't be if you counted by Yom that you're out. It's not a Svek Sveika, it's called a Mimanav Shach. No matter what, I can't be out. You can't nail me both ways. If you want to say, you didn't count at night, you missed by day doesn't count. So you're learning to mean count at night, not by day. So then I have no drush if I miss a day, I'm out. So I can keep counting with the bracha the next day. If Tamimais means that you miss a day, you're out, and I'm allowed to count by day, you have no drasha to say I can't count by day. So it's impossible. If a guy misses by night and counts by day, it's not a svek sveika, it's b'tayr asvadai, mimanashach, he's allowed to count going forward. Because either Tamimais means you miss a day, you're out, then I was allowed to count l'chatchila by yom. I did nothing wrong. I counted by Yom. And if Tamimais means I can't count by Yom, then there's no drasha that I'm out. So Mimanav Shach, I'm allowed to keep counting. A brilliant Rav Kalevsky, that's the halacha l'mais. If you miss by night and count by day, you absolutely keep going with the bracha. Amazing Rav Kalevsky.
That's amazing.
Yeah, amazing, Reb Kalevsky.
There's only one word, Tamimos, in the Torah.
It's the only word to me.
To mean that there's a whole unit that if you don't do one of them, we're going to say it. Or it means
that you have to count by night.
The whole day.
Yeah.
Wow. So there's no other way. Let's go.
Yeah. So that's why, so la'alacha, just to get it, Rabbi say, if somebody misses a night and a day, if somebody missed 2 weeks, please spread the word. Don't ever say you're out, you're mechoyev. Not just you're not out, it's tragic. We have a mitzvah and you're obligated to keep counting. You don't make a bracha, because there's a sheet of a bahag, by the way, who a machmir like, who said if you missed a day, a week, or a month, that you should stop counting. You absolutely should count. You should continue counting. This was the halacha of the Sefira Ha'omer. Don't make a bracha by day. That's because Rabbeinu Tam says that Tamimais means you have to count by night, not by day. So we make by day. If you miss by night, because the Bahag says you're allowed to count by day with a bracha, we count without a bracha. That's what we do. So if you miss by night, count the next day without a bracha. If you counted the next day without a bracha, you go back to counting with a bracha. The rest of the Sefira Ha'omer, you're with the bracha. You're absolutely with the bracha. So that's the halacha. A very good shaila, Rabbi say, that I'll ask the Olam Beirach is a geshmak shaila for the chevra. Is, let's say a guy missed a night and a day, and he's no longer counting with a bracha. Could I do the following thing? Could I say, take a fellow who's still counting and ask him, can I be mitzi you in your bracha? I want to say the bracha badly. I don't want to lose the bracha. The bracha is priceless. A bracha that it's announcing, I'm doing this, Asher Kedeshanu b'mitzvaysav. I want to say the bracha. Could I be mitzi you in the bracha? Now, do you say, lefi the bahag, that you're out, you're not called the bar chiyuva? And to ever say Shemei HaKohen, you have to hear from a Bar Chiyuva. And the Bahagu says Tamimos means you have to count the 49 days. So if you missed a day or two, you're no longer a Bar Chiyuva. Or do we say, no, Avada, I'm called a Bar Chiyuva. I can't be Mekayim my Chiyuv because I don't have the Tamimos, but I'm still a Bar Chiyuva. If a guy missed the 24 hours, could it be might see somebody in a bracha? Is a fascinating lumdish shayla. Do you say he's not a bar chiyuv anymore? He's out. Or do you say still a bar chiyuva? I want to say b'das habahag. I paskin that you absolutely can be might see somebody in a bracha, because to me it's teima gedola to ever say somebody's out. It's lo yitachin. It's not possible. So even the bahag who says you can't count with a bracha, you're very much a bar chiyuva. Vadi, you're a bar chiyuva in Sefira Seimer. You absolutely had the chiyuv. So very shaykh, it can be might see another yid. Certainly there's a story with the Brisker Rav, he did it. So I'm not paskening from nowhere. He was mitzi. He had a suffix one year, and he asked the yid that people held that he held to this svara that you still call the bar chiyuva. It's kedai the Brisker Rav to rely on. So I failer tzushno, the sugi we learned this summer in Sulam, that Yatza might see. Here might be worse than Yatza might see, because here you could tell I no longer have the chiv. Like I'm not in the game to do it. I have a night and I'm not in the game. I agree with right Taylor. I think Avada, just like Yatza might see, I'm no worse than a guy who's Yatza. I don't want to argue them because I agree with right Taylor, very much so. And say you're still in it, it's a good shayla. Yeah, it's a good. Okay, that could be. Lemaisa, we're on the same side. We both, even the Bahag. I just needed to find, even in the Bahag, that you're not out. You still called the Bar Chiyuva. Yadaya Nisher Bar Chiyuva. The guys were all frustrated with me that I said you have a Chiyuv Mila Balayla, you just can't do it. I'm nailing you with another one. I'm saying, according to the Bahag, a guy who missed a week, still a Bar Chiyuva. You absolutely are Bar Chiyuva. I can't do it. I'm Tamimais. I broke Tamimais, so maybe I can't do it. I could be might see another Yid. I'm called the Bar Chiyuva remarkably, and I could be might see another Yid in his bracha. It's a shtickle eitzah. If you're a guy who wants to make a bracha, if you want to be might see, get somebody, especially if the person counted, and again, they have to be willing to hear the bracha from you, but you can even get your bracha back if they allow you to be might see them. That's Rav Ezi says the Shliach Tzibur, I wouldn't do it if you're the Shliach Tzibur and you've missed your count. You're still mechuyev. I wouldn't make the bracha unless something. What I would say is as follows: there are cases where you're going to be embarrassed. A guy's davening for the Amud, and you realize you lost your count. It gets awkward. So you could say to somebody, "Count for me." You could do that. That's in bounds. But what you could do is, you're the chazan, ask your friend that I want to count. I don't want to show the tzibur that I missed one night. So let me be might see you in the bracha. You'll be might see him in the bracha. And you count with the bracha. That's 100% in bounds. It's a cool idea. If you're at the Amud, you have that you need to count Sefira and you lost your count, you can't make a bracha. Ask a guy in the crowd, I'll be might see you. If you ever see a chazan, your friend up there, you can ask him, did you miss? He's like, yeah. Say, be mitzvah me. I'll listen, you're still in, he's mitzvah you in the bracha, count. He makes the bracha on Sefira Seimer, then you both count. What? But you don't want your friend, more than you want the brachas, you want your friend not to be mevoyish. So your friend's up there, you tell him you lost it. He's like, yeah. Say, make it, you'll be mitzvah me in the bracha, you're good to go. Even though you gave up your bracha, but it's certainly worth it to give it, not to embarrass your friend. It's certainly a kedai plan to do that.